Now to California, where you would have thought the rain would be welcome after the record drought that has left the state bone dry. But right now, the strongest storms to hit the state in several years have caused mudslides, evacuations, and power outages. I want to turn to California Governor Jerry Brown, who has also just announced his bid for an unprecedented fourth term. Governor Brown, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Well, thank you.
It's a big night for Hollywood, of course, but you're dealing with something far bigger, and that is a storm that's hitting the state, taking the state by storm. But is it enough to really deal a blow to the drought, which has been such a huge issue for California?
No, not at all. This is the driest period since records have been kept, going way back to around 1850. And the terrible thing is, not only is it dry, but because of the dryness last year and the forest fires, there's flooding now and there's mudslides. So you get hit a number of ways, but it just is a portent of a very difficult and extreme weather that we are facing into the future.
As a Western governor and a governor of, as you say, the most populous state in the country, I wanted to get your views for a minute on the big politics of the day. First of all, you're running for your fourth term as governor. You're very popular. You took a state that a lot of people felt was ungovernable, chiefly because of the budget deficit, and now there is a surplus. Is there a national leadership lesson that California provides?
Well, you got to be tough on spending. No matter how liberal you want to be, at the end of the day, fiscal discipline is the fundamental predicate of a free society, and you just have to maintain that. Secondly, you do have to find a way to create a governing consensus or coalition. In California, we do have a majority Democratic Party, and we don't have any constitutional blocking points like the 60 vote requirement in the Senate or the division of parties in the House between the House and the Senate. So,
but it is interesting, isn't it? That is there a lesson for President Obama? No matter how liberal you are, you said here the president's about to present a budget where he's saying, look, the deficits are coming down, at least for now. We got to spend more, and we're only going to get the economy going in a meaningful way if we spend more on infrastructure and the like.
Well, yeah, spend more, but in the framework of adjusting your long-term liabilities so we're in balance. So that's not inconsistent. You can invest and create jobs, but over the long term, your revenue has to meet your liabilities, and that's not the case today.
It's interesting as you look back on the grand sweep of your career. It was an interesting piece on Friday in the Washington Post, and this was the headline. In California, Governor Moonbeam goes mainstream. Over a 40-year political career, how have you changed?
Well, I was just reviewing my transcript from Meet the Press in 1975. I find a lot of similarities. There I was talking about limits. I'm still talking about limits, but I was also talking about full employment and equality. So I've changed. A, I'm 40 years older. Two, I've done a lot of things, and I've learned a lot of things. So I'm older and wiser, but I'm just as energetic, and I'd have to say just as ambitious.
You've seen in Arizona a big debate this week over freedom of religion, but also the specter of discrimination against gays and lesbians because of the bill that was ultimately vetoed by the governor there. Are the culture wars rearing their head again, whether it's about religion or gay rights or abortion, contraception in this election year?
They might. I can tell you, you asked me how things have changed. 40 years ago, one couldn't even talk about gay rights. It wasn't the word, it didn't even exist then. And that has changed. The same thing with immigration. We had a governor that was elected basically to keep undocumented people in their place and get them out of the state. Today, we have driver's licenses for the undocumented. We have the DREAM Act. So there is evolution.
40 years ago, we weren't talking about legalizing marijuana in states either. Is that a good idea or a bad idea for California?
Well, we have medical marijuana, which gets very close to what they have in Colorado and Washington. I'd really like those two states to show us how it's going to work. The problem with anything, a certain amount is okay, but there is a tendency to go to extremes. And all of a sudden, if there's advertising and legitimacy, how many people can get stoned and still have a great state or a great nation? World's pretty dangerous, very competitive. I think we need to stay alert if not 24 hours a day, more than some of the potheads might be able to put together.
As a TV guy, I know a good soundbite when I've heard one, and I think I've just heard one. I want to ask you about the national political picture for the Democratic Party. You've gone against the Clinton machine back in 1992. Does anything stop Hillary Clinton for president in 2016?
I can't see it. The Clinton machine was strong, obviously it won. Hillary's a heck of a lot stronger. She's got more experience, both domestic and international. I mean, it's her nomination if she wants it, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, Governor Jerry Brown, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Real quick, Chuck, quite an answer there on marijuana.
It is, and it's actually a similar answer you've heard from some other Democrats that have been saying that everybody just assumes this is just a straight Democrat versus Republican issue, but, you know, he also obviously comes from a state. By the way, California is fairly legal. By the way, California, he's right. He's right. But by the way,
I get very quiet.
This town, apparently, the Three Martini Lunch was invented during the Cold War. So
but on the other hand, you don't want everybody stoned when the Russians invade Crimea.
Well, no, you don't.
All right.
It's got to be.
That'll be fine.
That would be the problem.
We're going to take another break here. We're coming up next on the day of the Academy Awards. Our Harry Smith